They called her a seductress. History branded her a temptress. Hollywood reduced her to beauty. But what if the most dangerous weapon Cleopatra ever used was not her body, but her mind? Because this woman didn't just sleep with powerful men. She rewrote the balance of global power using sex, strategy, and psychology. This is not the fantasy version of Cleopatra. This is the real story of power, sex, and politics, and how one woman nearly broke the Roman Empire. Welcome to History's Echo, where forgotten truths rise again, and history speaks louder than myth. Here, we don't tell you what legends want you to believe. We tell you what power tried to erase. Today's echo comes from ancient Egypt, and her name still terrifies empires. Cleopatra. Power, sex, and politics. Cleopatra Sedanvi. Cleopatra was born in 69 BCE into the Ptolemaic dynasty, a Greek ruling family that had controlled Egypt since the time of Alexander the Great. She was not Egyptian by blood, but she was the first of her dynasty to truly understand Egypt. While previous rulers spoke Greek and ignored local culture, Cleopatra learned the Egyptian language, studied its religion, and presented herself as the living embodiment of the goddess Isis. That was her first political move. Beauty was the myth. Intelligence was the reality. Contrary to popular belief, Cleopatra was not considered the most beautiful woman of her time. Ancient coins show a sharp nose, strong jawline, and commanding presence, not soft perfection. What made her irresistible was something far more dangerous. She spoke at least 9 languages. She understood economics, diplomacy, and psychology. She knew how to read men in power and exploit their weaknesses. Cleopatra didn't charm rulers. She outplayed them. Egypt on the brink of collapse. When Cleopatra became queen at 18, Egypt was fragile. Rome controlled its grain supply. Internal family betrayal was normal. Her own brother-husband, Ptolemy the Third, turned against her. She was exiled, alone, without an army, facing execution. This is where history usually ends for fallen queens. But Cleopatra chose something else. The most iconic entrance in history. In 48 BCE, Julius Caesar arrived in Alexandria. He was Rome's most powerful man, and Cleopatra's last chance. According to ancient sources, Cleopatra had herself smuggled into Caesar's palace wrapped inside a carpet. When it was unrolled, she stood before him. Not as a beggar, not as a victim, but as a queen. That moment was not romance. It was political theater. Cleopatra understood something deeply Roman men often forgot. Power is attracted to confidence. Caesar didn't fall in love. He recognized value. Sex as a political treaty. Cleopatra and Caesar became lovers, but calling it romance misses the point. Their relationship was a strategic alliance. Caesar needed Egypt's wealth and grain. Cleopatra needed Rome's military backing. Together, they crushed her rivals. She reclaimed the throne and bore Caesar a son, Caesarion. That child was not just a baby. He was a symbolic threat to Rome itself, because Rome hated kings and feared dynasties. Cleopatra versus Rome's system. Cleopatra ruled as an absolute monarch. Rome pretended to hate monarchs, but secretly envied them. Cleopatra represented everything Rome denied wanting. Centralized power, divine authority, loyalty without debate. When Caesar was assassinated in 44 BCE, Cleopatra knew her position was unstable. Rome was now ruled by 3 men, and she chose the most dangerous of them all, Mark Antony, the fatal alliance. Mark Antony was not Caesar. He was emotional, impulsive, hungry for glory. Cleopatra didn't seduce him with beauty. She seduced him with vision. She offered him wealth, Eastern Empire dreams, absolute loyalty. Together, they ruled the Eastern Roman world like gods. But Rome saw this as betrayal. Propaganda exploded. Cleopatra was painted as a foreign witch, a sexual manipulator, a threat to Roman masculinity. Octavian, the future Emperor Augustus, understood something crucial. If Rome feared Cleopatra, it would destroy her. The War of Lies. Octavian never declared war on Antony. He declared war on Cleopatra. Why? Because Rome could accept civil war, but not domination by a woman. Coins, speeches, and rumors portrayed Cleopatra as controlling Antony through sex. This was ancient political media warfare, and it worked. The fall at Actium. In 31 BCE, Octavian's forces met Antony and Cleopatra at the Battle of Actium. It wasn't just a naval battle. It was the collapse of a dream. Antony lost control. Cleopatra retreated strategically. Rome framed it as cowardice. They fled to Egypt. The end was coming. Death as the final power move. When Octavian invaded Egypt, Antony committed suicide, believing Cleopatra was already dead. Cleopatra was captured, but she refused humiliation. She refused to be paraded through Rome as a trophy. So she chose death. Whether by asp, poison, or hidden blade, history debates. But her intention was clear. Rome would never own her. With her death, Egypt became a Roman province. The last pharaoh was gone, and Rome ruled the Mediterranean uncontested. The truth, Rome couldn't erase. Cleopatra didn't lose because she was weak. She lost because she challenged a male-dominated empire. She proved sex could be strategy. She exposed Rome's hypocrisy. History punished her for that. But power remembers. Cleopatra ruled the world's most valuable kingdom, bent Rome's greatest men to her will, and forced an empire to rewrite its moral code just to defeat her. That is not seduction. That is politics at its most dangerous. History's echo empires write history, but power leaves fingerprints. Cleopatra's story was rewritten to shame her, because the truth was more terrifying. She didn't conquer Rome with armies. She almost conquered it by understanding how power truly works. And that echo still whispers today. History's echo.